Representative Campfield, you're recognized on 3019.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of this committee. This bill was before us last week, and there were some questions or concerns about limiting this to the number of students that would be in a room in a facility that is not considered a school. And I have drafted amendment, but I did not get it, I guess, to your committee in time. So if I could, I'd like to explain the amendment first, and then we'll...
We have a motion on the bill and second. And did you give us an amendment last week, and this is a second amendment?
This one, the second amendment is take out the first one, forget the first one.
We have not passed the First Amendment anyway. So,
well, we put one amendment on the bill last week, and this was an additional amendment regarding the number of students.
Okay. Let me let Sally explain that. I know we have some.
Right. Last week we passed the amendment that said that basically that this law would preempt any municipal ordinances, which it would have anyhow. But that's what you passed last week. And then during the discussion last week, there were questions about the using in the educational facilities, and so we had tried to get that worked on. And there was an amendment that the chairman had seen, and then this is a revision of that one. So, well, basically, no, not really, because this one is going to rewrite the bill. So then that'll go away. It'll be again like number 2, but when it gets to full committee, this will be the whatever you come out with will be what you'll use. So that's where you're at.
Okay. Well, where we are is we have the bill before us with the amendment that you had from last week. And per policy of our committee, if you have a new amendment that we haven't seen, we're going to hold the bill and we're going to not vote on the amendment.
No problem. I have no problem. If I could I?
But you can take a few minutes if you'd like to and explain it.
That's fine. All it does very briefly is it sets up. There was a concern last week about the number of people in a room. That some of these larger facilities or smaller facilities, you may want to limit the number. And what this says is, for every 25 students that you have. There will be one adult, and every additional 10 students that you will have another additional adult. And that, I think we spoke about some of the concerns, and that's pretty much what this amendment does.
Okay. Any questions for the sponsor on that? Okay. Yes, Representative Cole.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't know whether I need to offer this as an amendment, but the one concern I do have, and I've spoken with the sponsor, is I want this to only apply in cases where rent or a fee for the building is not charged. If they are charging a fee, then they should be in compliance. If they are donating this or doing this in lieu of, then the applications, I'm just going to state this. If they're doing it in lieu of or not charging a fee, then the provisions would apply.
Okay. Well, Sally informs me that there are a couple of other technical things in this new amendment that she needs to work with you on. But we have the gist of the amendment before us, so there's nothing that would keep us from holding it past next week as long as we're all in agreement with it. Representative Hawk, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I think this may be one of those technical amendments that Sally had addressed. In your comments, you said at least one adult. I think that we've got language in
yes, and that's what I want to
7861, the tracking code we've got. It says teacher. So I think in subsection B, that needs to be adult. Is that one of the mistakes that you saw, Sally?
Well, the biggest thing that I saw was that here's this subsection B that just sort of says there shall be one adult present if there are 25 children in a room. But the connection should be where it's being used in one of these instructional activities, because otherwise we just have a sentence. So that there needs to be, when you are having one of these extension satellite programs, that's the connection that I see is not there. So that's what I was going to technically put together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sally. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I'd be happy to work with Sally on that.
Okay.
The reps.
Chairman Curtis.
This is something for the committee's information. Last week in finance, we had the Department of Education before the committee, and we were talking about the rapid expansion of pre-K. And I know from my school districts at home, a lot of school systems don't have enough classroom space to expand pre-K. So they have to go to the private sector. So they're already looking at going into churches and other entities with this pre-K program. And so I asked the Department of Education how they were getting beyond the fire marshal's office. And they said that they had negotiated with them and gotten a special exception. They'd given them an exception that as long as they didn't have more than 25 students, they were waiving all these extra restrictions. So we're hopefully, I'm not opposed to passing this bill on as Representative Campfield is amending it. But if later on we end up in a problem, that's an option that the homeschoolers are going to have, is to try to get under this exception. So this is something that they've already encountered. And so I think what we're asking for here is not unreasonable.